Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I am going to show you how to make this card. It's my take on the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Hopefully in quite a sort of a fun way. I have used this lovely stamp from Crafty Individuals. It's called Happy Cockerpoo, and there's a whole series of dogs in this sort of style. It's very much Zentangle. So it's while it's kind of the shape of the dog, it's very sort of funky in the way that it's presented. So we will need to stamp this 3 times, and then I will show you how to create this. I've already got it done twice, so I'm only going to stamp this once, but we'll show you how this stamps. So it is an unmounted red rubber stamp. Excuse me, I have just been stamping with it previously, so it's a bit mucky. So it's an unmounted red rubber stamp. You can choose to mount it on something like U-mount if you prefer your rubber stamps to be mounted, or you can leave it like me. If I'm using this on an acrylic block, or even now like I'm going to use it in my stamping platform, I just use a glue stick. I'm going to grab my thing. And also, I'm just take this off to show you. Right, this is the Tim Holtz platform, and you turn it over depending on which kind of stamp you're using. So this is clear, and then the other is rubber. However, if I was to use this side, this wouldn't stamp very well. This is when you've got mounted rubber stamps. So I'm sticking with the clear side, and I'm going to use a little bit of glue stick to stick it down. So let's just get this piece of card in to begin with, and then we will put our lay the stamp down. Now, bearing in mind I've probably still got some ink on that. And I'll tell you, I'll put the back in, and hopefully, yeah, that's still sticky. And we're going to use versafine because we're going to colour this in a little bit with some distress inks. Distress inks are not distress oxides because they're a bit more translucent, so they a little bit more of a paler kind of feel to them. Right, hopefully, just going to grab a piece of tissue to wipe up some of the excess off the corners of that stamp. On here. Oh, now in the process of doing that, I can see I've taken off some of the ink from the actual stamp itself. So I'm just going to go back and put on lid on the ink so I don't put my hand on it. I'm going to close my lid, but I am going to turn it round just so the image is closer to me and I can press a little bit more firmly rather than leaning over. Okay, so a little bit more pressure at the top, a little bit more needed there. There we go. A little bit there. Maybe I didn't ink it as much up the top. That's fine. Actually, here you can see, if you have a look, you can see where the ink still is, where I haven't pressed the side. So I am going to put it back in. It could be that I'm just going to take that off. Sometimes where you put the magnets in can affect how much you can no, must just be me. Anyway, it looks fine, so we're going to go with that. We'll leave, I'm going to put a little bit of paper in there, just take up an ink, and we'll put that inside. So I have got now my little dog, and I think what we'll do is we will go ahead and colour the dog before we look at how to put all the bits and pieces together. So I have my little palette, which is just a white tile, and I'm using Faded Jeans, Milled Lavender and Shaded Lilac. Those are the 3 colours that I'm using to colour in my little dog. Now I'm going to try to I have got, in fact, I've got a couple already done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab them out just so that I end up with a similar looking dog and not a completely randomly looking dog. So this is what I'm aiming for. In fact, I'm going to swap sides. Side is easier. Grab my water. And I'm going to start with the lighter of the inks, and that's my milled lavender. My brush. Now with this stamp, you can be accurate if you want to be. In fact, I'm going to put some of the shaded lilac on. You can be as accurate or as sort of not random, but you know, you don't have to paint every individual little bit of the Zentangling. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to start with the milled lavender, and just going to paint some areas on the body. I am looking at this one purely because I want my 3 dogs on my card to look pretty much the same or very similar at the very least. So I'm trying to sort of stick to the same colours. So milled lavender is one of the much paler colours, so you might want to go sort of back in. Don't add too much water to it. You need a little bit, otherwise it's not going to move on your page. Yeah, I'm going to add a little bit more water to that. And then, where else did I do it? Down here. And, okay. I'll just look at this one. I'm going to grab both of them. I haven't painted the tongue on either of these. I'm just going to grab my milled lavender and put a little bit of paint on the tongue there. Like so. There we go. There it is. And then I'm going to do a lot of the hair. I'm going to just grab a little bit more of this. That is the only issue with using quite a pale distress ink. Distress inks are very translucent anyway, and so they don't have the sort of bright vibrancy that you might get from a distress oxide. So you kind of tend to need a little bit more to get the colour in there, but I think, you know, we're not doing too badly. She says, getting some more out. You see, I'm not putting it directly over where I had it before because I don't want to be putting my ink pad into water. Okay, so the reason I put more is because I need to do the muzzle. These are great. These are all like feathers. So I'm just doing the muzzle here. Like so. And then that's the reason why I got the shaded lilac out, because then I need to blend in a bit of the shaded lilac into, there we go. Like so. In there. Yeah. So, okie dokie, right, so we're going to go with a bit of shaded lilac in here too. First, kind of doing a little bit of a wash over the top. I'm going to go back and add in a bit in these kind of little shell, sort of fossily shell type bits, just to highlight them a little bit more. Okay, and then we are going to, where else are we going to go? We're going to go down here with some of this. And I'm going to get a little bit more. You just keep, you know, adding a little bit more to the palette if you need it. I'll put a bit of ink there. What else? Okay. And then we'll go down here, start adding a little bit more into our oh, I obviously missed some of that with the milled lavender, so you can always go back with these bits you missed. And it, because of the, oh, I've gone a little bit over there, not to worry. The nature of these stamps, they're not necessarily relying on you being particularly accurate, unless you want to be, unless you want to take the time to go and do all these individual pieces. You know, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so I'm going to start adding in some faded jeans now, and I've used this on the ears. Okay, and I'm literally just going over again. These are almost like feathers, the way that these have been drawn. Really cute. It's a really lovely series of stamps. I've got there'll be another video using this stamp in a slightly different way, plus I've got a couple of videos that will be using the one called Happy Dog. A lot of them are called the breeder dog, but this one's just called Happy Dog. It is a bit, I suppose, almost sort of staffy kind of bull terrier type look. It's totally cute, done in the colours. Sorry, done in this Zentangle kind of way. It just makes it look really, really cute. How are we doing? Oh, eyes. Make sure to colour the coloured bit of the eye. I made a couple of boobs where I did the coloured the white, what should be the white part of the eye. It does make a lot of difference once you colour the eye. Right, we're going to go back into our milled lavender. Go over his eyebrow. And I want a bit more colour on that muzzle. Everything seems to be a lot paler. It might be these lights that it might just be that I'm not putting as much on. There we go. Yeah, it's looking a bit more like the others. Okay. Pretty happy with that. Just checking if I cut left any bits. No, we'll go with that. We'll put our dog aside to dry while we look at how to make the all the bits and pieces, the glasses, the earphones, and the bone. So, okay, I need, what do I need? This, and I've already cut a very thin strip. I think it might be something like 1/16 of an inch. It's just literally, I put it in my guillotine and cut a very thin strip. And then, so this is the same colour as I'm going to use to mount, and then same with the navy, which I've already cut a couple of thicker strips to use for the earphones and the bone. I have got some of the circles already punched, but I'm going to show you what to do. So I've used just 2 punches. Now, you may have, because I know a lot of the more recent nesting circle dies have ones that go down to like a teeny weeny tiny dot. I don't. All mine are sort of older ones, so they don't go down really small. So I still have my very trusty circle punches. So if I punch out one of these, I'm going to need 2 of those. You'll need 2 of the larger ones for the earphones. and 2 of the smaller ones for the glasses, like so, and I can let you know what sort of size they are. So that, the bigger one is like a 1-inch circle, so if you have that in your stash, so that one I'd say is probably 5/8 of an inch and an inch in terms of size. It doesn't need to be exactly that, but you do need one that is fairly large and one that is much smaller for the glasses. We also need 2 of this. Okay, I'm going to do that one again because using a punch, it's better to turn it up that way because you can actually see where you're punching. So I've got 2 of those. Okay. To the side. And then let's look at how I need that card again. So I have also used a couple of circle dies, not to cut with, but for drawing around. Okay, so these are just to get a curved edge. So feel free to use whatever if you've got little pots or things. So let's start with the glasses because they're the easiest things. I literally have stuck a light blue over a dark blue. So let's just plop those, pop. Can plop them on as well, but we'll just pop those on. Oh, glue on the thing. So I've just done it so you see just a little bit of the dark blue. Okay. Okay. And then kind of put them roughly where I want them to sit, which is kind of just below the eyes, almost like the like I do. My glasses are usually on the end of my nose. And then I'm just going to put my little bit there. And I'm going to just snip. Whoops. And I'm just going to snip a piece like so. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is stick it to the back. I will, before I stick the second bit, I will just double check in terms of where I want. I'm going to put a bit of blue here. Kind of a bit of a, making a mess of this. Stick it on and we'll move it if we need to. I am making a mess. This is not as difficult as I am making this look. Stick it on. You can see my little things moved as well. That's roughly enough. I am going to, there we go, I just wanted that to sit out. But we're going to leave those to dry. Even though I made a little bit of a mock-up of them. It really is a simple task, that one, which I've made look very difficult. Right, okay, so the earphones. Now, what I've done is I have, if I show you, because what I've done is I've made some like little templates so that I can show you exactly. So this is what I'm aiming for. Okay, so I've taken, you see this circle, and drawn a line. So look, and I've done it on white card rather than straight onto here, so that I ended up with a template. So if I just show you, so I literally took my little thing there and drew my line. No, what's the word? Not a science, just go with what you feel. And then I do another one fairly close to the edge, like so. And then I did like a straight line between there and there. See what I mean? I just literally cut a straight line, and then I cut my Now this one's different, looks different to that one. And that's because I've probably not done it across as far. I would go further across. So I'm actually gonna amend this one. And this is just a little bit of card. You can fiddle around with this. It's not the end of the world. In fact, I'm gonna go there. And that's rough. It's not. What have I done? Right, I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to do another one because I am making this look so tricky when it really, really isn't. Let's put this one on to see exactly what I did. So I drew a line there. Let's draw a line there. Put that back on. I'm glad I made templates because otherwise I'd be showing you something that makes it look really tricky. There, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to cut that and that, and then there. I know why. I know why, what I was doing. You see, I know exactly what I did wrong there. I cut all the way down from there to there, and I didn't want to. So only cut from part the way down. So kind of like that. So it kind of sits more as a, like that. That looks better. Play with it till you're happy. I'm going to go back with my original one, like so. And I'm going to then draw on here. There. They won't be, you know, sort of neatly tidy, but at least they will look roughly similar. Okay. So as you can see from now I've drawn around it, where I was going wrong just now was I cut from there to there in a straight line and from there to there in a straight line. And that's never going to look right. And that's why it didn't look right. So what I've done is I've only cut to sort of like halfway between there and there. And then that gives you much more of an earphone shape. So that was the mistake I made. And I was the one that created it. So, ooh. But I would suggest definitely make a little template that you can draw around so that you end up with both of them looking similar. Okay, right, so there are my two little bits for my earphones. And then all I've done with these is taken a bit of glue and I just put a piece of that there, and I'm going to trim that in a moment when it's dry and it's stopped wriggling around. And that creates my the earpieces. We'll just let those dry. And then I'm going to take the bigger circle die again, and then I'm going to draw I'm going to draw around the outside and around the inside, and that creates the band for my headphones. Band, I don't know if that's the right word, but you get what I mean. And then I'm going to cut those off. Okay, so by the time we've done this, the rest of it, the bits of the earphone should be dry, and we should be able to stick those on. Okay. Right, so we'll get our little dog. So I've got it so it's just above the head. Let's grab our little earphones and trim off the excess bits. And then one will go there. And there. And trim off these little excess bits. And that one will stick on there. Okay, so we'll put a little bit of glue. A little bit of glue. There we go. A little bit of glue on the end of these. And then that one sits there. And that one sits there. So there's our earphones. Okay, so let's put our earphones to the side for the moment. Our specs are done, and we'll add the other side bits when we stick it together. Let's get rid of all my little bits. Let's not get rid of the bits we need. That, and I need those, but we don't need these now. And then the bone. So I'll go back to my little bit of card here. And so I'm going to just get my guillotine and straighten that edge because I need that end nice and straight. Okay. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with my pencil. I'm going to mark at 2 inches here, and I'm going to mark at 1 inch there. And I'm going to grab my ruler and just extend those lines like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark through another line at every 1/4 inch. Okay, so I'm then going to mark in, and I'm just going to check on my original. See my one's looking a bit like this. So that's about excuse me, how far in is that? I'd say it's probably about 1/2 inch. Let's go in about 3/8, I think. I'm going to mark at 3/8 and do 3/8 from that end, and I'm going to draw another line there. You do not have to be as fussy as I am with this. I just have kind of like the way it looks, and so I'm going to go a dot there and a dot there. And so from here I'm going to go out around to there and out around to there. And it doesn't matter if it's exactly right, because now that looks a lot more than 3 inches, doesn't it? 3 inches, 3/8. Yeah, I've gone too far out on that one. But don't worry, because this is just your template. There we go. Thought that looked a bit big. So we're going to go round to that dot, and then round and back. And you've got your bone there. So we're going to cut that out, and then that will work as our template. So once you've done it once, if you keep hold of your little templates, then you don't ever need to do this again. You've got them all ready to go if you want to do the card again. There you go, there's your bone. And we'll use that. Let me find a blue card. And we will draw around our bone on here. And like I say, then keep hold of your template for the next time you want to make a card like this, or another one with a bone. Put those all back in there, excuse me. And cut our bone out. And then what we'll do is we'll just stick a little bit of the blue on to the bone, like we did onto the earphones. Okay, so there's our bone, and we're going to grab a bit of glue there and a bit of glue there, and I'll just give that a minute to dry before I try cutting it. So, right, so here's the one that I painted earlier. So I am just going to trim this down. And I'm using, to get it sort of straight, I'm using the bottom of that stamp along this edge of my trimmer. And then we know that because I very rarely stamp straight. We'll do this and then I'll see if it'll fit onto the mats that I've already created. If it doesn't, that's fine. I can just trim it down a little bit more, but at least we know it's pretty much square. And we know that we can just trim a little bit off here and there. Right. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little wide, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit on the side. So, whew, I have no real nails, so yeah, that will do. Excellent. Right. So the last thing we need to do before we can start sticking things down is we need to put the bone in the mouth of the dog. I'm just going to move a few things out of the way so we've not got tons in our way, things we don't need. Let's get rid of them out of the way. Right. So if you can see, I've got the bone is in the dog's mouth. So I need my bone, so I'm just going to trim that now that that's should be dry, except bring everything else with me. So I'm just going to trim that off and trim that off. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to cut along that sort of the top of the tongue, where the tongue is. I'm going to cut along there, and I kind of need to see how far out I need to go. I'm going to grab my pencil, kind of there and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my knife and I think it's there. Okay, we'll see how we go. I'm just going to cut a line across. Okay, let's see if that's roughly long enough. We'll try this. We can always extend the lines if needed, and then we're going to cut just up a little bit on both sides. So, and then we'll see if our bone fits. Yes, there we go. So our bone now fits into the dog's mouth. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to put a little bit of glue. I am going to put the lid back on that before I put my hand on it. A little bit of glue there. So that when I push that up, push it up the right way. That will stick down there. Okay. Excellent. So our little dogs are now ready for our card. Now, this is quite a large card because of the size of the stamp, but I wouldn't be put off by that. I'm going to score this in half. So if we look, it's 8 1/4, so we're looking sort of 4 and an 8. Roughly. People might go, well, how do I send that through the post? Now, what I would do is I would wrap it in a piece of like tissue paper, maybe put a little bow or a little sticker, and then just put it into a normal A4 sized envelope. And then when you put it in the envelope, then fold the envelope in half over it. So even though you've not got an envelope per se for the card, you can make it look pretty by wrapping it in the tissue paper and then just using a bog standard envelope rather than worrying about making a special envelope. Okay, so I've got my my mat and layer already stuck. I'm going to put this on the card. Like so. That's that. And then got my mat and layers. I have other bits made ready just in case. Always just in case. So there's my 3 mats for my dog. So let's get them stuck on. We've got 1 there. We have 1. Oh, yes, stamp. I did. Sometimes I have so many little bits. Oh, yeah, I didn't cut that down quite enough, but that'll do, not to worry. I have so many bits of card in my prep boxes that I sometimes have to write on things like that to remind me that that's the bit you're supposed to stamp on, that's the bit you're going to stick to, etc. Okay, so there are my 3 dogs, and we'll get those stuck onto the card. And I would tend to stick the 2 end ones first, and then you can position the middle ones sort of equidistant between them then, rather than finding you end up with that not enough room or way too much room at the other end. There is number 3. That's about right. We're moving them a little bit further over. That's okay. Right, then, so we have our earphones to go on our little middle dog. Put some glue on those for our Hear No Evil. And then we have our little specs. Now I'm only putting glue kind of here and here because in a moment I want to tuck my these bits in. So I'm going to cut a couple of pieces roughly up. And then I'm going to literally just put a little bit of glue on the end. Not on the end, I need it all the way up. Like so, and then pop it under like so. There's one arm. And then glue there. And then that one, sorry, I've just moved my arm straight across. I do apologise for that. And stick the other one behind there. So there are, sorry, I should say his glasses. So we just need to stamp a sentiment now. And we are using, I've lost the packet. These are the Julie Hickey Everyday Sentiments stamp set. And what do we use? We use birthday wishes on this. So let's grab a little block, birthday, and then where's wishes? Wishes. There's wishes. Quite a few different combinations you can use on this. So, you know, it's not just happy birthday or thank you. Make sure that's going to fit. Yep, that will do. And let's grab our ink. Stamp that up. These are really lovely fonts and they stamp really clearly. There's our birthday wishes. Like that. Some glue. Put that down. Okay, I'm gonna, not because necessarily I want to raise it off, just because there's some different sort of levels here. I'm just going to put some glue gel on the back. It just enables it to kind of find its own level then. There's our birthday wishes. And then I've just got 3 little, I did have Oh, there they are. I've got my little pearls to go in as well. So I'll just get my ultra fine little applicator. My little wax pencil. Put those on. So as I'm just finishing this off, we'll just sort of recap on what I've used. So I have literally just 2 stamp sets, and the Everyday Sentiment stamp set from Julie Hickey, and that gorgeous Crafty Individuals Happy Cockerpoo stamp. I really love this series of stamps. They're just so different. They're not your normal sort of, you know, fluffy dog stamps. I just love the Zentangle elements of them, and if you're not really kind of good at colouring things in realistically, then these are perfect, because you can make them whatever colours you like, because they're Zentangle. They kind of lend themselves to just having a little bit more sort of creativity. So there we have it. My take on a See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil card. Thank you for joining me.